Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Super excited and thrilled to have Chris Heim on the show, CEO of Atomic Data here in the Twin Cities. Uh, let's just get right into it. Chris, super excited
Yep.
to have
Hey.
you. Yeah. Maybe just kind of start with a little bit of your background and just your origin story and how you kind of came to be where you are now running Atomic Data.
Yeah. So my background, education wise, I was a management information systems undergrad, and I got my MBA from Drake University. And I learned very quickly in my career that although I'm good at technology, like I understand technology, I always got pulled to the business side of the discussion. And my first 12, 15 years of my career was in consulting. And I just loved it. I just loved being able to talk technology to executives. And so very fortunate early on in my career that I found, kind of my path. And it just evolved. I went from consulting to software, worked for a startup for a bit, and then I got my first taste of leadership when I joined Ramage,
Mhm.
I guess about 18 years ago. And during my I was there 12 years, but my first 7 years, I just had a progression of promotions and ultimately was appointed CEO. So I came in at like a director level of sales and was the
Huh.
CEO. And I'm just so blessed for that opportunity. And I really found my voice when I figured out who am I as a CEO. I found my mission about, servant leadership. I call it people first leadership. And so my journey, Kip, the last, 10, 11 years has been primarily focused on how do I take this trade, this role of being a CEO and make the best positive impact I can on others.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, maybe get into people first leadership. What does that mean to you, or how has your personal definition of leadership evolved over the years?
Yeah, so yeah, people first leadership evolved for me. I had heard this term servant leadership and I didn't really know what it meant. So I studied it quite a bit. I always kind of felt like I was a little different, or maybe I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't for my first few years being a CEO. Like I had this idea of, this polished executive and just really polished in all different ways. And I wasn't fitting into the shoes I was trying to wear because they weren't my shoes.
Uh-huh.
And I love people. I'm a high empathy person. And I kind of had set that to the side because I thought it felt like I was a soft leader.
Okay.
And just on my own personal journey um, of getting more comfortable in my own skin and just figuring out like, hey, I need to figure out who I am as a CEO. Um, I'm very blessed to have a great circle of friends and mentors and really just went on this my why journey. And what I came up with over that, it was about a 1 year period where I just really carefully explored like, who am I? Who am I as a leader? What am I trying to do beyond business and all the financials and all that kind of stuff? Like, who am I trying to be? And I came up with three metaphors that have really just guided my entire journey. The first one is a beach ball. And I called my beach
Huh.
ball, my metaphor of beach ball, just be me. And the metaphor is that a beach ball is no fun if it's flat, if it's deflated. And in order for me to bring the highest impact that I can to the rest of the world, I need to inflate my beach ball. I need to take care of myself first. I need to be at full PSI and just really ready to go so that I can have the biggest impact on others. And so this beach ball really became a daily reminder to me um, to just take care of myself and have a good mindset and show up in kind of prime form so that I can have my best impact on others.
Oh, that's very good.
Number two is I have this picture of an upside down rock stack. So it's an upside down triangle, and we've all kind of seen, that's what servant leadership is. I found this picture is up on the Duluth shores that somebody took this photo,
Huh.
and it's a rock stack where there's one boulder at the bottom, and then they somehow had built an upside down triangle. And I've carried that picture with me everywhere, and it became the metaphor for servant leadership for me that as a leader, I'm on the bottom and not just me, any leader on the bottom. And the idea is that we're trying to lift others up and we're trying to keep things in balance. And It's a great metaphor because it's got a lot of complexity to it that you don't want to over focus on sales and forget about operations. The other metaphor is if you're the employee at the top of the stack, client facing, you're the most vulnerable of, and you don't ever want to have your employees looking over their shoulder asking managers, "Hey, are you guys okay down there?" So that metaphor became really my mental image of what leadership is all about. And then the third metaphor is a calligraphy pen, and I just call it be intentional. And be intentional is all about, at any point in time, I've faced hardships just like anybody else. We have a choice on every hardship to, um, it's up to us what our mindset is about that hardship, and we get to write our story. And even when you're facing hard times, you can always write a positive outcome and a positive perspective. So those three metaphors really have been what I call my why. Just be me, beach ball, servant leadership, people first leadership, with the rock stack, and then the calligraphy pen. That it's I'm in charge of my journey.
Yeah, those are very, very good and very illustrative of it's great to pick three metaphors and images to really crystallize that.
Well, thank you. What's been fun? That was 10, 11 years ago, and it's just as vivid and relevant today as it was back then.
Yeah, absolutely. So how have you, over the years kind of focused on, being a servant leader and like pouring into your people and growing them and growing other leaders beneath you, or I guess in your metaphor above you?
Yeah, well, so along that way, I was introduced to traction,
Hmm.
and I love traction. I'm not necessarily like a traction zealot, but I think it's a great framework. And what I found, Kip, um, at least for me, for 20 years of my career, I was a manager. I was a middle manager, but I didn't really have any training. I was making it up as I went all the way along. Um, when I look across kind of corporate America, my feeling and like my bigger mission beyond just the business that I serve is I think middle management is underserved in education and just giving them the tools to be successful. And so I think they're underserved. So I think most employees are underserved because they report to middle managers. And in part, traction woke me up to the fact that there are some simple tools that you can use and learn, and everybody can be on the same page. It's kind of like in whatever sport you love, it's like having a playbook.
Hmm.
And we can make this way too complex. We can make business way too complex, and there can be, way too many different things to keep track of. And what I've really liked about Traction is it's been a simple playbook that everybody can be on the same page, and you can use it for coachable moments with leaders. And so that would be one thing that's really helped me scale what I would call people first leadership is to rally around a set of tools.
Yeah. I say we so we run our firm on traction and have a lot of or I should say on EOS and a lot of EOS clients where we do integrator searches for them. And I mean, it's transformed our business and
Yeah.
just countless stories from clients and just other people I know that run on EOS and follow traction where it's, 10x their business in super short periods of time. And just having that framework to go from the crazy world of entrepreneurship to like formalizing and professionalizing processes. And as you said, a way to lead through that. It's a powerful system.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and what part of what makes it powerful is its simplicity.
Hmm.
And there's a lot more that you need to bring to the business than just traction, but from a basic framework to help leadership, yeah, I found it to be super powerful.
Yeah. Well, maybe chat a little bit about culture and building culture and core values within Atomic Data and other organizations that you've led, and kind of how you've been intentional about that.
Yeah, yeah, so culture, I love culture is awesome, uh, and the phrase, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Uh-huh.
I believe it's true. I mean, you need to have both. Just having a great work environment, you got to have a great strategy. But culture is a living, breathing thing, and I try to emphasize, and it's not like I don't own our culture. It's part of all of us, and it's really a mindset. It's I call it click in. Like you need to kind of click into whatever the culture is and be part of it and be a positive contributor to it. So I would say for culture, what I call it, the chief reminding officer. That
Uh-huh.
I think. a big part of my role and what I ask our executives, we just have to be really good at repeating core messages and just reminding people because
Hmm.
life is hard, life is busy. Everybody comes to work, they intend to do the best job they can, but there's just a lot of stress and activity, and we've just got to constantly remind ourselves why we're here, beyond business, beyond the paycheck, why we're here. And so I would say just constantly feeding and nurturing the culture is a big part of executive leadership, but it doesn't mean that executive leadership owns the culture. I think every employee owns the culture, and it's a team effort.
Yeah. No, you're right. I've
Um,
heard that. Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry. I
sorry. No, please.
was gonna say I've heard that chief reminding officer analogy and over again. Just the repetition of people need to hear things over and over again, and just saying old things to new people or saying the same things over and over again rather than trying to come up with something new. It's because you're thinking about these things as a leader all the time, but the people on the team are focused on their area of the business. And if you're not if you don't almost if you don't feel like you're saying it so much you're sick of saying it, they're not hearing it enough, and it's not clicking with the team.
Yeah, yeah. But part of what you're touching upon, as leaders, we're in meetings and planning things out months in advance, and as we should be. And so you can kind of forget. It's easy to forget the fact that a topic, whatever the topic is, has been in front of you for weeks, if not months,
Right.
and then you're bringing it to employees, and so it's like so ingrained in our head as leaders, but they're hearing it for the first time. And then we have a meeting and we kind of launch something, and then we just think everybody understands it. And so if you're not careful, you can just announce something and then go off the other direction, and it never stuck. And people want to be part of a world they help create, and that's a big part of any message, any part of whatever you're doing in your business. You've got to emphasize it enough where everybody actually feels like it's their idea, it's their thing, not something that's being handed to them.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Well, maybe share a little bit about atomic data. I mean, what is the business? And I know we talked before we hopped on here how
Yeah.
you've brought two businesses together and just had your first all company meeting yesterday. So
Yeah.
maybe chat a little about what the business is and what you put together, and then how that first meeting went with everybody
Yeah.
together.
Well, I'm having a blast. This is I think I found my dream job. I found my home. I found my people.
Oh, it's amazing.
The backdrop, Kip, is it's really interesting and quite sad. Jim Wolford is the co-founder of Atomic Data, and he, was about my age and died 18 months ago suddenly overnight. And so he was a heralded leader in the community, and just instantly gone. And this team, loves him, and they went without a key leader for, a year plus. There was a wonderful executive that stepped in, temporarily. But so the backdrop of the company that I joined is I'm coming in to replace the founder who passed away and was, really, a beloved person. And so part of that, I suppose, the owners needed to find the right leader to come in and, treat that, with the proper sensitivity that it deserves, but also carry the business forward. And so I'm just blessed to have been selected as that person. From a business perspective, the backdrop, Jim owned 51% of Atomic Data, and then the other 49% was two silent partners. One of them was a co-founder that has his own business now, and one of them was an investor that gave them money, 20 some years ago. And then Jim also was 100% owner of Foundation Technologies, which is
Uh-huh.
a whole separate business focused on the Apple ecosystem. And so, the ownership group found themselves like, what are we going to do here? And so they got together, found an investment banker, Hennepin Partners here in town. And the key thing is the business wasn't for sale. The owners are still partial owners. They just needed to, be a less, smaller percentage.
Sure.
So they went through that process. Dubin Clark is the private equity firm that has invested, and they brought me into the fold. So that's kind of the backdrop. Um, you know, I think really, excuse me, really close to 4 months here that I've been there. And The team has been great. They were so ready to have somebody in that leadership seat. I think the message that I bring forward and people first leadership, I think that's been a very empowering, positive message. And um, I think in a way, I've talked with the team about let's hang on to and cherish the legacy of everything that we loved about our past and Jim, but also give ourselves permission, like we want to carry forward. That's what he would want as well. And so if we make changes or we do things, it's not undoing the past, it's just carrying the business forward. And that was a big part of yesterday's, it's our first coming together, everybody in person, was to do just what I said. It was to honor the past and put forward a strategy for where we're going to take the business.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I was kind of leading into my next question. So I'm a St. John's University alum. So
Oh,
Jim is like
yeah.
heralded at SJU, and I've heard him speak many times, and just wondering stepping into, the founder CEO's shoes to run a company and then to have a tragic loss like that, just how you navigated that and how that's gone. And of course you led into there, but any other strategies or thoughts, or just kind of how it's gone stepping into
Yeah.
that role?
Well, I think, when we started out the meeting and I talked about my journey of, figuring out who I am, um, I think, so look, I'm not trying to fill his shoes. I'm my own person and I'm trying to, and this, first of all, none of this is about me anyway. I'm just filling a role in the company. Um, I think for sure, had I not gone through my journey and just got very comfortable with what my leadership principles are and who I am, I wouldn't be the right person to come into a delicate situation like this. I'm coming in with a lot of confidence because I feel comfortable with who I am. This isn't about me, and I'm not trying to be somebody else. And we just have this beautiful company and the all amazing people, and we're just really well positioned in the marketplace. So it's my job is just to breathe life into that. And as I said, culture is something we all own. And so I waited 4 months before we had our first all company meeting because much of my time these first 4 months was having town hall meetings and meeting with every employee and listening to every person. What do you love? What would you want to change? And really yesterday was the coming together of all those ideas. So um, yeah, it's really important, an important message for me to share is, anybody in an executive role like this, it's not about us.
Hmm.
We play an important role and we need to be a role model. But really our job, and this is why people first leadership, I think is the right term for me. It's about everybody else. And I'm just, trying to be that catalyst that enables that. So,
Yeah. How about having private equity now being coming in and being an investor, part owner? How maybe talk a
yeah.
little about being the CEO in a private equity portfolio company and kind of what that world is like, and navigating that as a CEO.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been a CEO of an ESOP.
Hmm.
And interestingly, our ESOP at Ramage was owned by a private equity, so that was an interesting combination.
Yes.
At AbeTech, family-owned business, 100% family-owned. I serve on the board for EA Sween, who makes the Deli Express sandwiches, also family-owned. And I love family-owned businesses. But I also knew for me where I'm at on my journey, I very much wanted to be part of a PE-backed, or I wanted to be part of a business that had a financial partner, is how I
Uh-huh.
would phrase it. Because I'm a growth executive. I want to grow. I want to be part of a high innovation, high transformation type business. And it's one thing to want that. It's another to have the financial resources to be able to do that. And growing a company is not easy. There's way more disaster stories than there are success stories of companies that grow too fast or whatever. So having a financial partner, wicked smart people that I can surround myself with a great partner that I trust to help enable this journey. That's where I'm at in my career. I really wanted that, and so that lined up nicely here. Yeah, not all private equity is made the same, and unfortunately, I really I think I have a very high opinion of private equity,
Hmm.
but not all firms are made the same, and I was very careful about vetting, who Dubin Clark was to make sure, not to change them, to make sure that their model lined up with, what I wanted. And
Sure.
I think, we have a great match there.
Oh, that's amazing.
If you have a great match like that, then yes, of course, we need to post good numbers. But those pressures, that's the reality of business. That has nothing to do with private equity. You need to, do a good job on the financial stewardship of the business. But having a supportive partner that can actually help fund our growth, that's so important.
Absolutely. How about any future trends or opportunities that you're most excited about in the market? And then maybe how you're beginning to position yourselves to capitalize on those?
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, IT is a constant evolving,
Right.
rapid changing, the space itself is awesome. It's complex. It's getting more complex with cybersecurity, all the different options for cloud. I mean, just data, if you think about artificial intelligence, that starts with having great data. There's so many really great things happening in the industry. And especially mid-market companies, they can't afford or they shouldn't afford to staff all of the expertise on their team. And so a company like, and we have three brands, Kip, Atomic Data, Foundation Technologies, and Game Day Technologies. They're
Okay.
focused at three different market segments. But we're an extension of our client's team. So we show up every day trying to be the very best we can at IT, how to take care of it today, how to think about it in the future, and we bring that expertise to our clients to help them scale their business. So that's what we do. And I'm super excited about that because, look, there's a shortage of labor, there's a shortage of like, really deep expert talent, and we get an opportunity to employ those people and practice that trade, and then help each of our clients have a much better IT environment because of the work that we do to help them.
Oh, very good. How about with the talent shortage and kind of the talent, or what are any strategies that you've employed, whether at Atomic Data or previously, to attract and retain like high performance people on your teams?
Yeah, well, this ties back to most of the things we've talked about so far. Of you got to have a great culture. You've got to be an employer of choice and have a great environment. And so we're doing those things because we believe in them. But strategically, having an environment like that, you've got to be a magnet for talent. And so it's just very it's very compatible. We announced something really cool yesterday. So, part of my answer is also we need to create senior employees. We, if we are waiting for the rest of corporate America to train somebody and teach
Mhm.
them, and then we are going to magically find them at that pivot in their career where they're the exact right fit for an open seat in our company, like, that happens, but you don't want to build a business off of that. And so
Right.
we we want to be a learning organization, and we want to provide a career path, and come into our company, and we can share with you a 5-year journey, 10-year journey, and be very intentional about that. And I actually yesterday presented, kind of a metaphor. I love metaphors. My daughter just graduated from the University of Minnesota. She wants to be a physician assistant, and she was working for a hospital, and I won't say the name of the hospital, but she's a very junior person, and she was asking questions, and they were crabby to her. They were like, they didn't
Hmm.
take the time to answer her questions, and they certainly didn't make it feel okay for her to ask questions. And I call that the guru model, where a lot of very senior experienced people, like, all the pressure is on them. These people, they're good people, just all the pressure was on them that they didn't have time to train somebody else. She changed, and she now works for HCMC,
Okay.
and they're a declared teaching hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire environment is encouraging and constantly asking people, and she's on a career path, and there's an 18-month, pathway, and every 3 months she does a new training module. And it was really the inspiration I needed to, bring back to our company of, we need to model that. We need to be a learning organization and be intentional, like the medical practice of having rotations and being a teaching hospital, kind of concept. So we talked about that yesterday, and that's part of our journey going forward is, to create that environment.
Oh, that's amazing. And what a contrast between Hospital A and
Yeah,
HCMC and what they're doing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that goes back to leadership. We've got to create the environment where a really senior person that's super critical to the business, and of course, everybody wants their time with their clients and stuff. How do you create a culture where it's okay to step back from that a bit and to make room, kind of like the doctors are letting the residences,
Huh.
manage most of the what's going on in the ER. Of course, they're there to help, if there's a really serious situation. But how do you create the environment where that's okay? And I don't have all the answers. We got to figure that out. But I think it starts with the mindset of, hey, we're going to do this, and here's the reasons why.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and just give people opportunity to it's when people have a mentor or a leader that can see their potential more than they even can and can put them in situations where they stretch themselves and in a safe environment where it's okay to make mistakes and fail, but like we're here, but we believe in you and we want you to push
Yeah,
yourself and we see it for
absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think about like the day, whenever the day was that, HCMC declared, that that's what they wanted to do. It kind of changed everything. It changed the core fabric of everything in their operation. And the same for us. We're talking about career pathing. And if you come in as a client support or a knock technician, we need to be intentional as leaders about every 3 months, every 6 months, like how do we help grow those skills? And of course, it's up to the person to do the work.
Right.
But we need to provide a pathway. And this is another, I just, it goes back to middle management and some of my other earlier comments. That's where it's at. A
Uh-huh.
strategic direction from the executive team, like that's a given. And I'm sure there's a range of how good strategies are amongst executive teams, but where the rubber hits the road and where the action happens is in those teams, and that's where we're going to do. I think we're going to crush it on providing people with a career path and having multiple branches because not everybody knows exactly what that path is. I'm really excited to see how that comes together.
Yeah, that's really exciting. How about any other ways that you're looking at investing in your people and kind of how that philosophy's played out in the business?
Yeah, well, I mentioned traction. So we're going to do a great job with that. I've rolled out traction for 3 different businesses, and
Okay.
so I've got a pretty good framework, for that. Um, Part of that, we're creating people first leadership training. So
Okay.
we we're going to have it's going to be kind of a cohort. I've done this in the past as well, but a cohort program where 5 to 10 leaders go through like a 3 month training program. It'll be content that we create. We're going to get some help, from some outside agencies, but we're going to do the training. And it's part of that chief reminding officer of helping leaders on their journey, separate, but in unison with engineers that are on their journey, to be the best, engineers that they can be. So that there's a lot of things in Q1 of next year that's going to come together for that.
Huh, very exciting. How about any strategies that have proven most effective in like identifying and capitalizing on high growth opportunities, like business wise out there? Like, how do you
Yeah,
evaluate
yeah,
those opportunities?
yeah. So we do I'll call it full stack IT. We go pretty deep. We provide basic end user supports and maintaining PCs and laptops and um, mobile devices and so forth. But we go deep. We have our own data center here. We're very good at all the network infrastructure and all the cybersecurity environments. Um, and data integration. We're excellent at all this, but if you go to our website right now, and this will change in the future, if you go to our website right now, it kind of looks like what I just said. We kind of just do everything.
Uh-huh.
It's just a big list of, hey, we can do all these things. The cool thing is we can. We are absolutely doing all that work. But how we explain it to our clients it's a little bit of a laundry list of
Sure.
things. And so we're declaring practice areas. So yesterday we just announced we're going to, within Atomic Data, we're going to launch 4 practice areas. It's all work we're already doing. We're just putting a package around it. A Microsoft practice, an infrastructure and cloud practice, security and compliance practice, and then a data intelligence and automation practice. And so we
Okay.
declared yesterday, we appointed 4 leaders that are leading each of those practices. And it's really just, it's an opportunity to take all that we do and compress it together into a cohesive story. And then our clients can use one or more of those practices. And it's going to, I think, really be helpful in articulating what we do.
Yeah, no, very
And then
good.
separately, Foundation Technologies is Apple ecosystem. So it's a similar business, but it's really fine-tuned around Apple, and they've got 3 practice areas as well. We do a lot of work with retail and franchise.
Okay.
Um, we do a lot of work with, kind of like smaller businesses, like creative agencies that run a lot of Macs and so forth. And then like a marketing department within a large enterprise. And like you have 1,000 employees and 900 of them are using PCs, and you have 100 employees using Macs.
Uh-huh.
We provide that specialized support. And then Game Day Technologies is all about sports and entertainment. We have 13 Major League Soccer stadiums. We have about 20
Wow.
stadiums total that we manage, and we're on a great growth trajectory there. And they speak a different language. It's a much different environment to, support, like Allianz Field, 18, 19,000 people show up within a 60-minute period, and making sure that the network works. Like that's a different skill set, although similar to, serving corporate America.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know you said you're having a big event there in the
Yeah.
next day or two. So what to run or to do game day? Like what does it mean to run Allianz on the IT side? Like what all does that encompass? Or
Yeah. Well, so where we really shine is if the ownership group is building a new stadium,
okay,
which, Allianz Field was, I think it's maybe in its 7th year.
sure.
We got brought in from the very onset, and so we call it we're an owner's rep. So if somebody's building a new stadium, they're hiring us at the architecture level to proactively think about technology as part of the experience. Sports and entertainment is about creating an experience for fans, and the really innovative, teams, and where the whole industry is going is technology is part of that experience. So the fan experience is both the sport as well as all the other things, and you want to have a technology platform that can support that. And so we provide advisory services while they're architecting the stadium to design all that. And then we help implement it. And then, now with Allianz Field, we are their IT and environment. We're an extension of their team. We do a stress test, a few hours before each game. We make sure that all the coverages are great. Like, Wi-Fi coverage is great. We make sure that at Allianz Field, I think there's 13 different, data closets, network rooms that surround that. We just make sure that all that's running so that they don't have to worry about it, so that when it's game day, there's no question about, is the technology going to work? And if you think about, in corporate America, we get to make money almost every day, right? I mean, there's a flow of, in sports and entertainment, you get 20, 30 days to make all of your income. And so it
Right.
just really raises the bar on everything has to work. And so that's at the end of the day, Kip, that's what we're doing for sports and entertainment. We're making sure that the stadium, um, everything is in good working order so that their team can focus on everything else.
Yeah, no, very, very good. How about we talk a lot on the show here about just being in America? I mean, free market, capitalist society. How has kind of our free market system and capitalism benefited you and the businesses and been able to thrive kind of in our environment here in the US?
I mean, I love our country. Of course, there's always, going to be, things I wish, were operated differently. I wish that whoever is our leader of the country brought more of these people first leadership principles to the table, because I think it's just sad to see, regardless of what party you're part of, it's sad to see how some of that behavior unfolds.
Sure.
But I think we're an amazing country. And I've been, at Ramage, we were global. I've had a chance, we had an office in Germany, in Frankfurt, in Tokyo, Taipei, Shanghai, so I've managed a global business, and I love the world economy as
Uh-huh.
well. What I love in a company like ours is we get to look across the whole spectrum, the whole globe of all the technologies that are out there, and we get to pick and choose the best in class technologies and hone our skills around them so that we can provide great services, to our customers. I would say that's what I love about America is that, we get that choice. We have it's kind of the cornucopia of everything, and we get to leverage all that, and we get to serve companies right here. I think Minneapolis is amazing. I'm blessed to have a nice network of people, and I try very hard to contribute to that network, and just we're in a great environment here
Yes,
to do
absolutely.
business.
How about looking back, any decision or action you'd say that you've taken that have been most pivotal in your success thus far?
I think I'm really figuring out a formula for growth that incorporates both organic growth and acquisition.
Okay.
And I'll just describe it high level, but I really feel that I generally call it's a 50-50 split in my mind, although it's not intended to be exactly 50-50. But you've got to demonstrate that you've got a good organic sales and marketing engine to grow your business. You've got to demonstrate that you can thrive and grow on your own. And if you can build that, you can build that platform, then acquisitions become a very strategic way of expanding your business and geographically or vertically, whatever. I think it's too easy if you have a big pile of money. It's too easy to have acquisitions be your main strategy and just go acquire everybody else's business. I'm going to move my camera a little bit. I'm noticing
Sure.
the sun's coming through the shade.
Sure.
Um, it's just too easy to have that be the primary strategy. And if you think about M&A, you're buying somebody else's business, so you're betting that you can operate it better than they can themselves.
Yes.
And I think that only comes with having a really good internal operation. So that's a big part of my, outside of people first leadership, it's a growth strategy. How do you actually grow a company that's durable, that's going to last long term, and not just financial engineering of, folding a bunch of companies together and
Uh-huh.
having a good balance sheet.
Yeah. How about any advice you'd give to, aspiring entrepreneurs or people that are in corporate America that are thinking of either starting their own, business or just moving, from a large organization into a more entrepreneurial, quick moving startup, if you will?
Yeah, good questions. I'm part of Mesa. I don't know if you've heard of Mesa. It's the Minnesota Entrepreneurial Software Association. So
Yeah.
there's I don't know, probably 40 executives that are mentors. So I get a kind of a front row seat
Huh.
at this. I'm mentoring a company right now that's an AI focused company. Um, I don't know if I have great advice, but I have to say I'm just humbled when I meet entrepreneurs that put everything on the line, mortgage their life to go build their business, their dream. I just think it's amazing. That wasn't my calling. I respect it so much because if we didn't have entrepreneurs creating businesses and a person like me that gets brought in, later stages, so we all have our fit in that journey. Uh, I think this is a great innovative environment to be in Minneapolis. So I guess the advice, if you're asking for advice, I strongly encourage entrepreneurs to surround themselves with experienced people that have been there, done that. It's a very lonely journey,
Hmm.
and they can make it less lonely if that's the way that you phrase that, less lonely by just making sure that they have great mentors. And I think there's a lot of very generous people in this market that want to help people on that journey.
Definitely. Absolutely. How about, as we're kind of wrapping up here, just success for you personally, what is your definition of success? And you can take that any direction
Yeah,
you want.
yeah, it's a good, very reflective question. I have to say I've thought a lot about, what is success, and it's easy to get caught up on, the kind of the trap, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but chasing money,
Hmm.
either personally or just focusing so much in your business about all the financials, and it's easy to think that that's success. And it is like we have to show we have to show numbers for our business, and of course we all want to do the best we can for our families. But I stopped defining that as success because if that's the measuring if that's a measuring bar, then you're never there's no finish line there, and you're always chasing. And so basically, uh, the more like philosophical answer I would give you is I stopped having chase be in my life, and everything is pursuit.
Huh.
And it's just a mindset shift. But if you're always pursuing something, then it's intentional and it's been thought through, and it's with good intention. And so I guess what I would really say that where I'm at in my career, success is about helping other people on their journey. And if you can create I guess maybe this is a good wrapper for our whole conversation, because if
Sure.
you can create a culture where everybody feels that they can pursue their dreams and they're part of something really awesome, and they can have work-life balance, they can work hard but have time to go home, and they're paid fairly, like everybody needs to be compensated fairly, but that environment, that mixture, that's success. And I think along the journey for a lot of us, myself, um, not knowing what the scoreboard really, like what are the metrics in the scoreboard that you should pay attention to, it's easy to just have financials be the primary. And I think what I've really learned is it's an outcome. It's really not. It's an end result of a bunch of other things, and you need to focus on it. But if you over-index on it, you're forgetting about all the other leading indicators that contribute to it.
No, that's perfect. Well, good. I think that is a perfect wrap for our
Yeah.
conversation. I just really want to thank you. This has been absolutely fantastic, and we'll share, you know, info on you and Atomic Data in the show notes so people can connect and reach out. But yeah, sincerely, I just want to really thank you. This has been fascinating and fantastic. And again, I've been a fan of Atomic Data for a long time, and of course, love the Twin Cities, even though was -4 when I
Yeah, it's a
drove
little
into my
cold today.
office this morning. But
Yeah. Well, Kip, I think it's awesome that you're doing this podcast. I'm honored to have been part of it. It was a great way to tell our company's story, and I hope that a few things I said today connected with people. I want to make myself available to help others on their journey. So I appreciate you creating the platform for that.
no, for sure. Yeah, we can certainly see that and hear that in your voice. But so thank you very much, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You take care. We'll see you soon.
All right, you too.